Hello everyone, my name is Dara Rath and I'm the pastor at Faith Lutheran Church in Port Elgin, Ontario, Canada. And each week I bring you a story that takes about 5 minutes to watch. And the story I'm telling you today is a true story that actually happened to me. I told a few people this story in the last few months and they said to me, "Oh, you have to put it on a take 5, you have to put it on a take 5. Well, as most of you know, I was a nurse for about 40 years. I worked in healthcare for 40 years, and one of the jobs I had was working in the emergency department. We lived down in Burlington, so my jobs were at Joe Brant and Oakville Hospital and at the Cancer Center in Hamilton. So anyway, I worked down country. And when I worked in the emergency department, I worked there for about 16 years. And one day, these two little boys came in around 4 o'clock. The waiting room was already full of people, and these two little fellas came in and they came up to me and they said, "Nurse, you see this little fella says, you see these two little holes on my finger?" I said, "Yes, I do." He said, "A snake bit me." And I said, "Well, I don't think there are any poisonous snakes here that would bite you, but anyway, we'll take your finger down and we'll soak it and we'll find out a bit more. And I need to have your parents' phone number so I can give them a call so they can come over." So I took him down to the room and I got some solution and I stuck his finger and his whole hand into the solution, and then I went and called his parents and I spoke to one of the physicians about it. And so we decided to call down to Sick Kids in Toronto. At that time, we didn't have the ability to take photos and send them and all that sort of thing, and have an opinion. We always had to do everything by telephone. And so we phoned down, made a call down to Sick Kids to get them to find some specialist on snakes. And so in the meantime, I was starting to look after some of these people in the waiting room area, and I was standing there and I looked out the door and here comes his little friend, the other little boy. I thought he had gone home to his house, and here he came in the back door of the hospital and he came down the hallway and he said, "Nurse, here's the snake you wanted." Well, I'm not a snake person, and so I just went, oh my gosh, I think my heart stopped beating for a few minutes. The waiting room absolutely cleared. Everybody there left. And here's this little fella standing there with this great huge long snake. It was a great big thing like this. So I ran and got a pillowcase and we put the snake into the pillowcase. And we went down to the utility room and we laid the snake out. And in the meantime, one of these physicians, one of these experts in snakes phoned us from Toronto, and this little boy was standing right beside me as we laid this snake out. The parents had already arrived for the other little fella, and so we were I was trying to describe this snake to this man on the phone, and this little boy is jumping up and down, No, it actually jumped right out. It came right out from the bush, and he was going on and on. And so finally I just said, "Here, you tell him the story." So he told him all about what had happened on their way home from school, and how this snake had actually jumped out of the bush and bit his little friend. And so we described the color of the snake and so forth to this man, and it turns out that it was a milk snake, which of course is not poisonous, but it leaves a hole in a child's finger, that's for sure, because I saw them. There really was 2 holes in his finger. So anyway, the best part of the most was that it was not a poisonous snake, and the second part was this little friend who was jumping up and down trying to get my attention so he could speak to this specialist about the snake. the rest of the part of it that was absolutely hilarious is that waiting room cleared, and I don't think any of those people came back, which was really quite an experience. So it was something that happened. When you work in the emergency department, you can write a book. And I was telling people about this story, and they said, oh, you have to put it on Take 5. So there you are. That's one of my personal experiences in life as a nurse working in an emergency department. So blessings on your day, and thanks a whole lot for taking 5.